last I looked.
Part of Florida.
Yeah.
But it's down to a 3.
No,
No.
5 o'clock,
No.
11 o'clock this morning, they categorized it as 5.
But it's way out there.
Yeah, no,
It's
but it,
supposed to hit at a 5 is what they're looking at.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Just got
Yeah,
an
that's-
update
Is
from
that
my
right?
family.
It
that
must
lives
have
there.
changed because I'm just watching MSNBC.
was in New Jersey Friday and it was beautiful. It was like 80 degrees sunshine. No wind.
Oh, my brothers in North Carolina, they got slammed with stuff not nearly as bad as my family that's in Florida. They're gonna,
Oh, yeah.
they've been struggling this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Police chief. Reggie? Yeah.
yeah, where's he at down there?
Mike, have you talked to Reggie? Is Reggie former police chief?
Yeah,
He's down in Florida, isn't he?
he's down in Pensacola area, so.
Oh, they probably,
Is he gonna get hit down there?
He might.
this other one that's coming from the eastern
Right, right.
side, so hopefully not. I mean, I'm sure that they'll get rains and things, but you never, it's so unpredictable. When I lived in New Orleans, I just would, I mean, every year we would have to get evacuated at least a few times.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Well, then the mayor, former mayor
I
of,
would never live down there.
We shall.
I had no choice. I was stationed there.
Yeah,
twice.
yeah.
the former mayor of White Salmon.
Pick your boys.
I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Florida.
So it's time to go.
So I don't know where he's at.
Yeah.
He's somewhere down there.
Texas.
I didn't want to call him because
Yeah. Most people don't have, if you're anywhere near it, they don't have.
It's
access,
quite
they
the
have
Monday.
days.
Yeah.
We have problems all morning at the store with our payment processing system. Just going so slow.
Well, why can't you just
Except the cash. Nobody carries cash anymore.
Are you? Good, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you liking your new job?
I know.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad. I just, Jen's a great friend of mine. She's
I always have
such a good person. You know, she's funny. She's just enjoyable. She's enjoyable to be around, you know, there isn't all that drama or anything like that. So it's nice.
Sometimes I get being a little too serious and she walks by and she always not like them.
Good.
I can't imagine for you guys.
I like working
I
that
know
way.
it.
That makes
But
life
do
so
you
much
think have
easier and.
Those machines,
Oh,
of course, it's per transaction, all that.
Gee.
I can't even imagine what you guys have to
Can
go
I-
through.
Make
Oh.
an appointment to see what your facilities and stuff. Awesome. What days? Okay, what days are best for you? Or what?
7 to noon.
7 to noon?
But that's not.
So I have to get up early and, no, I'm totally joking. I'm joking. Gee, that really cramps my style.
Yeah, what do you must be on the East Coast time. I mean, literally.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. Welcome to a regular session of the Goldendale City Council for October 7th. Shelley, would you please take roll?
Johnson,
Here.
Leon Wheeler, absent. Lauren Weaver, absent. Elle Casey,
Here,
Andy Holmes,
Here,
and Danielle President,
Here.
and Mylan Wallen.
here.
I received notification several days ago from Lauren and Theone that they were not going to be able to make it today. Do we have a motion to excuse Lauren and Theone? from-
So move.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to excuse both Theone and Lauren. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's closed public comment. Is there anyone here or on the line that would like to make a public comment?
Roger?
Yes, Roger.
Thank you. I want to take advantage of this and hope that you mention it later when you're discussing it, but when you get to the information about the recommendation from the ordinance committee about the trees, the clarification, the way its motion is worded, I can't tell if they're giving the owner 30 days to actually remove the hazard or just 30 days to respond to the hazard. Also interested where the estimate of 15,000 comes from. Thank you.
Yes, we will definitely cover that when the time comes. Thank you, Roger. Anybody else here for a public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. We have an amendment to the agenda in front of you. It is a budget review by Jen Forsberg. Can I get a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I move to pass the amended agenda and the consent agenda to approve them both.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
in here, I believe I missed the last meeting. I believe the last meeting was the, September the 16th.
Yeah,
And, it says in here that I moved to, okay, excused. Okay, that was approved, but then there was a motion in here that I approved the motion. I mean, those things happen. I mean, it's no big deal. But then, I saw it here earlier. Now I don't know where I put it.
Right here?
Yeah, right, yeah, right.
Under the council business, it's the second paragraph.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll change that.
okay, yeah, no big deal.
We'll change that in the minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure. That'd be good.
oh, okay,
Yeah, that's all I had, Mayor.
okay, thank you, Mylon.
We'll make a note of that and take that out.
Okay, good catch.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks. All right, well, the next item on the agenda then under presentations will be a 2025 budget review by Jen Forsberg. And Jen, are you on the line?
Oops, I can't
There
hear
we
you.
go.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, I will share my screen. All right. So part of the part of the budget process is the early preliminary revenue and expenditure estimates are due by today, I believe is the statutory requirement. So we are prepared to present to you where the 2025 budget currently stands. There will be some further refinement before we propose the actual fully vetted 2025 budget, but this is where we're at currently. So we are sharing it with you and we'll open it up for questions at the end. So we'll start with kind of the overall budget information. We did a 2% overall increase in expenditures across the board. This is not including salaries and benefits. We did a 7.5% increase on benefits it was an average of what all of the different benefits are increasing. And then we use known union contracts for the other increases in salaries. The revenues we looked at individually and adjusted as they needed to be or kept them consistent with 24. MRSC uses or gives us estimates for the state revenues. So we were able to update those, like the liquor excise tax and those things. So those are all based on the estimates from the state. We updated the utilities per the FCS rate study, and then we assumed the 1% increase in the property tax levy. We also have projects that are going to occur in 2025. We have a carryover parks project in the amount of $45,000. Part of that is accounted for, and part of it is to be determined, but we accounted for all of it for the 2025 budget. The water grant is also rolling over from 2024. The Public Works Trust Fund water improvements at 1.7 is a continuation, as well as the wastewater improvement project is also carried over from 24. New project for 25 would be the West Darland Improvement Project. It hasn't been awarded yet. It's in the amount of 900,000, and it requires a match of 90,000 by the city. The airport land purchase rolled from 24 to 25, and part of the fuel system at 114,000 rolled between the 2 years as well. There's a new project for an EV charging station. It's a pass-through to where the city will pay the bills and then get reimbursed in the amount of 278,000. And then we have $1 million chip seal project with a city match of 50,000. So we summarized it on this slide by fund. You'll see we took the estimated 2024 ending balances for the 2025 beginning balances for the funds, added in the expected revenues and the expected expenses to get an ending fund balance for 25. You can see the current expense fund has a deficit of 202,000 roughly currently. Part of that is match for projects, so that would be a use of fund balance. That's the 90,000 for the street project and the 50,000 for the chip seal. And then the remaining deficit has to do with the forklift and parks mower purchases. There's also insurance increases that occurred that need to be spread across all funds, not just the general fund. So that number will change for the October 21st meeting. So this is kind of still fluid, but we wanted to give you an estimate as to where we're at for the general fund. You can see the other funds are in balance for the most part. Tourism is kind of a unique fund to where you want to budget more than your revenues if you have fund balance so that you have funds available to do community events and tourism events that draw tourism to the area. The rest of the slides at this point are a bit detailed. They're line item for each fund. For the next presentation, I am going to summarize them better, but we wanted to give kind of the overall picture by line item for you so that you have the detail. Based on feedback from last year, I did take out the zeros. I hope I caught them all. Last year we had a lot of slides that had a lot of zeros in them for line items that are no longer used. But this is for the current expense fund. These are the revenues followed by the expenses. And it is a lot of information that just came to you tonight. So I know you probably haven't been able to look through it by any means, but we will have continued conversations about the budget in the future meetings. So I hadn't intended to go very detailed on these slides since they are so detailed, but you can see by the general fund is broken out by legislative, judicial, by all the various departments. And then it has a summary, and then we move on to the other funds, such as the utility funds, the street funds, and then all the other funds.
Oh, yes, Danielle has a question
Okay.
for you, Jen.
Hi, Jen. I hope you're safe.
We're in the process of getting there. We're headed out in the morning to a northern point so that we will be out of the direct path, hopefully. But thank you.
Good. Well, I just have a quick question in regards to the private utility tax sewer. It had been zeros for 2022 through 2024, yet the budget is budgeted in for 80,000 plus some. What is the reasoning behind us not having it budgeted before? Did we take that out of a different fund?
You are referring to right here, right?
Yes.
So currently it's all being labeled as utility water. And so we just need to break it out. So it is being charged. It's just commingled with the water utility tax currently. That's
Okay.
why it's at 153 and then it's split out here.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm. So again, there's a ton of information here, and I apologize for the lateness of it. But we will have continued discussions and have a more refined to where you can see kind of like the quarterly reports where it's broken out a little bit better by department in a more easily read format. But this is the detail behind it. And then the next steps, I'm going to skip to that slide, and then you guys can peruse it and ask questions if you have them. And I'll assume that you'll probably have more detailed questions next time after you're able to actually review this. Again, Sandy and I are going to work together to further refine the budget numbers. Any trends that we missed, we will update in the next round. The full budget will be presented on October 21st, including the budget message and ordinances and those sorts of things. We're going to set the public hearings for both the levy and the budget for November 18th. And then at that point, the levies need to be approved by November 30th. So hopefully at the November 18th meeting, because I believe that's the last meeting of the month. And then the budget needs to be approved by the end of the year. So there are a couple other meetings after that. So again, we'll hold the public hearings on November 18th and then pass the property tax levy and perhaps the budget, or push the budget to December and approve it then. Questions, comments?
Oh yeah, Daniel has another.
Sorry, I have one more question. So I know at our last budget meeting, we talked briefly about the 0.5% tax increase possibility of doing that like White Salmon does. Has that been looked into at all?
Not at this point, but it will be. Sandy and I will touch base on that and then look into that. I know we talked about the utility taxes increase. And I think the council had discussed potentially bringing back the animal control position, and other positions were being considered. And for those positions to be added to the budget, I think the council will need to look at those options of utility tax increases, perhaps based on the FCS study, how they had suggested that the city utilize those to create more general fund revenues. But that's something we can definitely touch base on in the future.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have a question or comment? No? Okay, well, thank you, Jen. Appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay. Our prayers go out to Jen. She's in the path of a hurricane down there. Best wishes to you, Jen. Okay, we'll move on to next on the agenda, and that's department reports. And we'll start with Chief of Police, Mike Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Not much to pass on. I've been gone the last few days. My son's graduated the Coast Guard Academy, so just got back in town Friday. So things ran smooth while I was gone. So sergeants handled their job duties and been just continuously busy. So calls for service are still going up. So we're just kind of grabbing hold of that. So we're just keep plunking away. So other than that, things are really good.
Great, thank you, Chief. And our code enforcement building official, Robert Thompson.
Right. Well, I've got this report kind of broke up in two sections, code enforcement and building department. So code enforcement cases, as year to date, we have 37 cases, roughly 13 garbage related, 3 people living in RVs, 7 vegetation, 5 accumulation materials. These are all ordinances in our city code. Vehicles, inoperable vehicles, and we have some signs in the planting strips, obstructions, stuff like that. In our building department, We've done 90, this is as of the end of the month, 90 building permits, consisting of 39 building permits, 5 demo permits, 25 mechanical, 1 manufactured home. We have others, plumbing, 14 wood stoves, 2. So a total of 90 with a project cost of roughly about $3,500,000. And then, fees that we've charged like 40, a little over 41,000 for those. A lot of this is the hospital has some big projects going on. So, they've had, pretty good amount of that was from the hospital on their, new kitchen, the new additions of the chillers, and they've done a lot of mechanical work up there, so. So if you have any questions, shoot them to me.
Thank you, Robert. Anybody have any questions for Robert?
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here, Robert.
Yeah.
And Robert will be speaking shortly about the other issue that we have on the agenda. So he'll be back on deck. City Administrator Sandy.
Nope, I don't have.
Nothing from Sandy. Okay, well, we'll move on to the next item in the agenda. And that's under council business. And we have airport committee recommendations. And for this, I'll invite our airport manager, Rick Lundin. Thank you for being here, Rick.
Thank you. I'm basically here tonight to ask for ordinances so that we can start charging for some of the basic stuff at an airport. Usually if you're gonna tie down, you're paying monthly, there's a fee involved. We don't have an ordinance in place where we can charge one. We're in the process of looking at doing lots, and so people can build hangars. And if you do that, typically you lease them the dirt, they build the hangar, and you write a contract for various things, but the city makes money just leasing the dirt to the hangar owner. We have no ordinance to do that with. So, I made a list. I mean, the main one that we should get going is the monthly tie down, because we've got people tied down there that have been tied down there forever that aren't paying a thing. So, we should try to get that one done. Ultimately, we'll need to come up with a hangar rental cost, whether that's a box hangar or a T hangar, or a group hangar. Same thing for the land leases for those size hangars. Long-term parking, if that becomes an issue, we should just have an ordinance in place so we can implement something. A hangar wait list, typically if somebody wants to get on a hangar wait list, they pay something to say, I'm serious, I want to be on the hangar wait list. And then late fees and not sufficient fund fees, et cetera. But, so that's what I'm basically here for. And in the packet, you should have standard costs for Washington airports and for Oregon airports. I'm not Shelley, did we decide not to do that?
Yeah.
This is like 64 pages or something. We decided we'd give the trees a break. But if you want to see that, I've got that. I've also got some individual ones that I didn't bother because they're sort of covered under the Washington ones. But it just gives you an idea of some of what other airports are charging. So.
Great.
That's what I'm really here for.
Thank you, Rick.
And yet, and one more thing, I
Yes.
would like to advertise in Air Now, that we have fuel. Right now, they go out and they hit different airports and they've got, let's say there's 500 of us that don't have a listing with them. So every couple of months, they bump it around. So one time somebody may go out, click the chart and go, oh, Goldendale has fuel and it's a good deal. The next month, we don't even have fuel. And so it's a $30 a month or $30 a year cost, and it costs us $50 to get listed. So I'd like to get that done just to make us more consistent. The whole idea of having the fuel out there is that people will come.
Yeah,
We didn't build it, we'd like it to come.
I think we can provide consensus to move forward with that advertising and
Yeah, that's fine with
everybody's
me.
agreeable. That's a minor charge for we can move forward with that. And as far as the ordinance work that needs done, maybe it'd be a good idea to get an ordinance committee together, including yourself, and we can work through that in committee. That sound good? Okay, well, I'll get on the email and I'll get with the ordinance committee and yourself, and we'll come up with a good time for everybody for that. Not everybody that's on the ordinance committee is here right now. So we'll do an email, and I have your email address as well, and between all of us, we'll come up with a good time to meet and get to work on your recommendations here and present that to council.
All right.
That sound good? Yes, Danielle.
Will the customer get refunded for the wait list fees if they come off of the wait list and actually follow through
Typically, well,
or have it used towards
we
it?
can decide that when we write the ordinance. It just, some of them, you pay once, and then if you don't get in that year, you have to pay something again, which to me doesn't seem like such a great deal, but, and we have no hangers now anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but we're working on that direction.
Okay.
I just have one
Tyler.
comment,
Yes.
Mayor. I want to compliment, the airport manager, Richard Ledeen. He's been working on this for some time now, and he's working on it at his, own time and his own expense. So I think he's been doing a good job. We got a lot, the airport committee's got a lot more work to do. And, so we're all doing a good job. So anyway, I really appreciate your help.
Thank you.
We're making a lot of progress out
Yeah,
there,
it is. And also then he's certified, I guess you're certified to do the testing. See, you have to, every so often, the fuel has to be tested, make sure there's no water in the tank. And just like an airplane, you gotta put the thing probe up there in the wing, and test your fuel before taking off. So,
We do that every week.
yeah, every week? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And under council business, number 2, that's the parking strip obstruction removal. And we've been talking about this for quite some time. And I'll hand off the explanation to our building official, Robert Thompson.
Well, I did this report in response to the concerns of at the intersection of Broadway and Mill Street, doing 501 West Broadway. I think we're all aware of the trees that are obstructing the view. And I did some research looking at our ordinances, and I'm trying to follow that process with the city council. It says the city council has discretion to allow them to move forward, is what I'm looking for, a motion to move forward. This could cost the city if the property owner decides not to do it. I want to be able to follow through and get the work done. It could cost 15,000, it could cost 20,000. There's 5 trees there. And I think that if you all read the report, I think you have a pretty good idea of the safety issues with these trees. We have side obstructions, we have dying trees, branches, potential for branches falling the sidewalk. Also, snow and ice accumulating on these trees, falling under the road, branches falling onto the road. The trees are also lifting the sidewalk along that street. So there's safety concerns for pedestrians. So what I'm asking for is a motion from the city council to move forward, to notify the property owner that, to give him 30 days to respond to the city with his plan to remove the trees. If he does not respond within 30 days, the city will move forward, find a contractor to do it. And as per ordinance, we would leave the property for whatever it costs the city. So I'm looking for a motion to move forward, continue the process, and to complete the process.
One question I have, so we put a lien on the property, so they don't have to pay that until they sell it? Is that
Until the
correct?
property is sold, and then it's gotta be, you gotta have it on the It'll be on the title report,
Yeah, right,
so,
okay.
I mean, it could be forever, you know?
Right,
But,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I think the concern right now is the safety concern.
Oh, absolutely.
Weighs that.
yeah, well, that's what the mayor said, you know, we've been talking about it for a number of years now, yeah.
By researching our ordinances, I think this is how we move forward with it, and, if you were serious about doing it, let's get it done.
Yeah.
If anybody have any questions?
Well, go ahead, Steve.
I assume that we will be exercising that ordinance one instance at a time. Because even in this picture here, you can see heading east on 142, just on down there a little bit. There's situations like this all over town. In fact, that one right there is tearing up the sidewalk pretty good.
Really? Yes, I mean, it's a process we gotta follow. I mean, yeah, I'm. We've got to be fiscally responsible. This is a pretty big hit, unexpected hit, so I want to make sure that we're prepared to do that. The city's council is prepared to move forward. If it's gonna cost us 50,000, it's gonna cost us 20,000, we're gonna get it done. I don't wanna, if we say we can't do it, then why do we, I wanna move forward. So if you wanna move forward, I'm just asking for a motion to move forward, contact the property owner and give him time to respond.
Yes, chief.
Yeah, and also with this situation here is a little different because it's not just sidewalks, it's actually we've had several accidents there for the blocks of view. So the blind side is I've had meetings with Robert about that. So it's not just, with the sidewalks there. I mean, it is an issue and it is a violation of the so-called ordinance, but this one actually meets several standards of that. So
I think I covered all that in the report.
Yeah.
There is a site triangle distance. It's center of intersection. You come back 84 feet each direction, you make a triangle. That's your site triangle. And that increases as speed increases. So it's kind of a DOT standard for, safety for pulling out onto the street. Those trees have been a site obstruction for a long time. I think we all realize that,
Yeah.
but we, I think it's time if we want to move forward, let's do it.
I move to direct city staff to proceed with the process of notifying the property owner of the hazard and to give the property owner 30 days to respond to the request to remove the hazard. If the property owner does not respond to the request, the city will proceed to remove the hazard and the cost of such removal shall be assessed against the owner of the real property adjacent to the parking strip.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Under ordinances. This is the park use ordinance. We've talked about this a few times. The ordinance committee has met to discuss the changes and revision of the park use code. Attached is their recommendation for a revised chapter 12.24. If you'll remember, a few months ago, Chief Smith brought this to our attention that this ordinance could use some work to help the police department be able to enforce rules down in the park. There was a few other things that happened during the ordinance committee meeting to do with adjustments of some of the fees down there. But the main purpose of that ordinance change was to make it so our police department are able to really enforce those no camping type rules that we have down there in the park.
And I take it, you've looked over this and, okay, it works.
Yeah, we worked on this in the ordinance committee with Chief Smith and our building official, Robert Thompson, was also there, and we had a few different meetings to fine tune that, and this ended up being the recommendation. You could see in the provided ordinance where it's red, that's the changes.
I move to accept the Park Use Code, chapter 12.24 for its first reading.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to accept that park use code for its first reading in a second. Any additional questions or comments? Yes, Steve.
I think it's a good, concise ordinance. I think it covers very well. I only have, an issue with one portion of it on actually the first page. Down at the very bottom, the mention of temporary shelters.
That's on page 1, you're saying?
Right at the bottom.
Oh,
Under definitions, parking.
okay.
That's the definitions of what a camp facility would include.
I'm just uneasy about the term temporary shelter. And it's because of the current political environment that we're in. We have a lot of extra people coming into this country and they're starting to shovel them into these small rural communities. And to me, that's just like an invite. It implies, at least implies. And so it's like, oh, okay, you know, an invitation.
Now, I got what you're saying there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. What you're looking at is under just definitions of terms.
Okay.
If you go to page 7, where you see the red lines have crossed out those, and actually it's page 8. If you go to page 8, where you see under G and it says tent camping per 24-hour period, that's where we've crossed that off. That was the whole purpose of addressing this ordinance, was to take that section out. What you're seeing there is just defining, is just a definition of that term. Right?
They took out the ability for anyone to camp there or use it as temporary
Well, under
lodging.
the camping, so if somebody builds if I deem that's a temporary shelter, that's prohibited.
Yeah.
You cannot do it. That's why the definition needs to be in there, so we can enforce somebody placing a temporary shelter that is not allowed. It's prohibited in the parks, all camping. So under that camping definition, we've included that temporary deal for, so whether you have a tent, whether you have, we're just getting more specific of what you cannot have in there. That's why it's under the definition part, not the.
Yeah, it's just defining what we're not going to allow,
Okay.
is the gist of it.
Clarify.
You're welcome.
We've had an issue about people down there already,
Yeah, yeah.
so, okay.
Yep, that was the whole purpose of the work we've done on that, was to shore that up, so our police department has the ability to enforce just what we're looking for there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I do have a motion and a second.
Then this will be on the next month's council, or the next council meeting for the second reading.
Yeah, we'll have a second reading and. Okay, well, I have a motion and a second to accept the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks, and thanks to the ordinance committee and the chief of police and our building official for all the work on that. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to report of officers. And we'll start over here with Steve Johnston.
Just one thing. And I'll direct it at Robert and the rest of the staff. I really think it's time we created some dialogue with the corporation that owns the trailer park down here. Not just the man.
I believe Mike did. I think Mike, before he left, had contact with the actually owner. I think he kind of opened their eyes a little bit to the situation.
Well, I think we need to keep the pressure on. they're in violation. Now, there's a number of violations down. I'm down there regularly. I look in after a person down there. So I'm down there frequently. And I drive through it. And they are in violation, a number of violations. And the one in particular is their washroom facility. It's terrible. In fact, I think it was Mike that cited them about the condition, and they just locked it up. No, that's not, you can't do that. We have ordinances. I'm sure not only do we probably have ordinances, I'm pretty sure there will be state ordinances that deal with mobile home RV parks. I've done a lot of RVing. I've never been in one, so I've been in some pretty scroungy ones, but they always had bathroom facility and washroom facilities. So, no, that's a major one. Cause a lot of those units down there, they're small, they're RVs.
Yeah, I don't know if the utility wash, like the washer dryer facility is required
Maybe not that, I'm talking
but-
about showers and toilets.
for a RV park. I think it probably is.
But I would like to, I gave Dave, the latest contacts. They're probably a month old or so. The people that are supposed to be in charge
Mhm.
from Portland to California.
We'll have to look at that too, because I think it's considered a mobile home park, not an RV park.
Both.
It's both, I
Is
think,
it,
actually.
because I don't know that they rent out any spaces, but we'd have to find that out.
They rent all the space.
I mean, like, longer than 30 days. Because
Most
an
of
RV is temporary and then mobile home is permanent, was the last time that when Mike was looking into it, but
There's a lot
we'll look
of,
that up.
there is a lot, involved with RV is supposed to be short term. And, I don't know that any of our RV parks follow all those rules, to tell you the truth. I don't know that for sure, but, I agree. I will look into that. Absolutely.
the last thing I want to do is hinder the company's ability to rent those spaces to some of these people. That is the last ditch place for most of those people down there. We don't want to close it down. But we certainly can put some pressure on the owners to make it a lot more user-friendly and healthy.
I'll look
So
into that. Steve.
if you would, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if anybody on the council has questions, get a hold of me. I mean, I have anytime, come to the office, call me. If you have any concerns, I mean, that's what I'm there for. So I don't have any problems with any of you coming and talking to me.
Well, I just follow up on that too. They have cleaned that place up considerably. A lot of empty spaces. But, no, they have cleaned it up and they're still working on that. And there's a couple of, one burnt out vehicle and one that's got no tires or wheels on it anymore, leaning up against the fence right along our beautiful park. And the kids play right there, you know, people are there. I mean, it's stuff like that. And it's up to the owners of that property to address that, not the tenants. I left a piece of paper from the owners, and it's not the first one. Every so often they come out, it's a piece of paper this size. I don't know, what is it, about 20 items
Yeah.
on that, what they expect those tenants to do. Which you've got to work together here. And I don't see where park owners are holding up their end of the deal at all. So let's follow the playing field a little bit. And again, you've got to contact those people. The manager down there, in fact, I just talked to the little gal that's been there and she's leaving. They will not allocate any more funds than for about 2 or 3 hours a day for a manager to be there. And that's not right either. I mean, those people got nobody to get a hold of in case of emergency.
Well, I don't know if we can regulate that.
Well, let's look into it. I mean, there are standards that those businesses, it's a business.
I understand that. So I mean, as far as how they do business, if there's a contact for them, I don't know that through our department, I can do that. I will look.
Well, it's relative to the maintenance that gets taken care of down there or not.
Yeah, I mean. I will look into, look at that if I can. I have no
Appreciate it.
problem doing that. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard to, you know. In my position, it's hard sometimes to say you've got to do something when I don't have control over that. And I'm not gonna overstay. I think I've been that to you.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's what the ordinance committee is.
I'm prepared to follow through and do my job, but I'm not gonna be that guy who's overstepped. I'll do my job.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna try to intimidate people. I'm gonna look at the evidence.
And I can respect that. Absolutely. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. Ellie,
Got nothing there.
okay, thank you. Andy,
Nothing tonight.
all right, Danielle.
Just a question about the DOT. Did they, the Washington DOT, did they contact you yet?
Not yet. We were
Still
just
not.
talking about that.
Okay.
The last conversation I had, there was a lady that said they had a traffic enforcement place that could do like a traffic test and, you know, look at all of that. And then she forwarded me on to another gentleman who called and said he would look into it, and then he got back and said, oh, were you wanting a traffic test, you know, and I was like, well, yes, and so then he said, oh, well, then he'd call me back. And then we haven't heard back from them. He said he was gonna look at something else, a couple of things, I think that was, and I was gone last week, so I haven't heard back from him, and so we were gonna get a hold of him in the next week or two and see if he can't, see where they're at with their process.
Okay, I'm just gonna
Yes,
keep
he was-
asking just so it
Yeah.
doesn't so it doesn't not happen.
We've
Right.
been,
No,
we've been
we're still
passed
working.
around to a
Yeah.
couple different people at the
Yeah.
state there.
Yeah,
Sounds like it. Okay, and the other thing that I have is we need to make another events committee meeting.
Yes,
So did you want to wait until after, or do we want to do that here?
I'd like to send out an email to everybody who was involved in the last one, as well as all the events committee people and the people that we invited in and the new people that we want to do. And I'll do an email to everybody and get a date set that works for everybody.
Okay,
I'll be putting that out in the next day or two.
awesome. And thank you very much for coming. It's really great getting the information. That way we can give it back to the people. So much appreciated.
Call me anytime.
All right, thanks, Daniel. Myland.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Well, speaking of parks, last Saturday I went down the Coney Park and I could see how well the public is using it. At the gazebo, I think there was a birthday party or something going on there. The benches were full, they were having a picnic, kids were playing softball and other kids running around. And anyway, I think it's great that we got a really nice park down there for the people to use. And so I want to comment on that.
Great, thanks, Mylan. Well, that goes right into what I was gonna talk about, the park also. So the new playground equipment is installed down at Econy Park. I don't know if you've got a chance to go look at that yet. The only thing that we're waiting on now is the special wood chips that need to be on the ground underneath it. It's a special splinter-free inspected ADA wood chips. So we have those on order. Hopefully they'll be here pretty soon. There was a little bit of a delay on them, but anyway, you might remember that this is that handicap accessible equipment that we partnered with the Cypress Creek Renewable to purchase. And so tomorrow at 2 p.m., we're gonna have a little ribbon cutting down there. So if anybody on the council or staff is available, would like to go check out the new equipment. Chamber of Commerce will be coming down with the Cypress Creek company that partnered with us and some other members of the community, and including some of the folks that helped us pick out that equipment. If you remember, we had a committee of people that had some handicapped children in their family, and we got together and picked out that equipment and partnered. So just really excited to get that going. Anyway, it's at 2 p.m. tomorrow. It'll just be a short little thing. They'll be taking some pictures and looking at the new equipment. It's not quite ready to be open up to the public yet because of the wood chip thing, but it's close. And So anyway, just wanted to throw that invitation out to everybody. Anybody who wants to show up is more than welcome. And we'll get those ordinance committee set up. We'll be expecting an email from me soon, Rick, and along with the ordinance committee, and we'll set something up to work on that as well as an events committee meeting here within the next short time. Okay, anyway, that's all I had to say, and we'll move on to open public comment. Is there anybody here or online that would like to make a public comment?
Roger.
Yes, Roger.
Okay, a couple of things. One is a question about the thing you passed having to do with the trees. Is this the first time the person has been contacted about it? Is there been any dialogue before we go to the step of enforcement on it? Any question and back and forth? That's my history on that. And then the other thing is the new ordinance for the park won't take effect until second reading in 2 weeks. Is that my understanding?
Yes,
Okay.
yes
then
to the second question.
So right now you have on there a $5 fee for tent camping. As long as you have that, I'm not sure you can not permit people to be there as long as that's still in the ordinance. Just asking a question. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, so the new park ordinance will not take effect until it's passed on its second reading in 2 weeks at the next council meeting.
Yes.
And then the trees,
Do you want me to respond?
yeah, go ahead.
So what we're doing, today's, motion, you just lets me move forward with contacting the property owner, giving them 30 days to respond with a plan, to be worked out with the city. And if they do not respond, then the city will move forward with the process of eliminating the hazards, and then, we will, assess that to the property. But we were the motion is to contact the owner. I didn't want to make the motion or contact until I had approval to move forward. I didn't want to waste my time in contacting if we weren't gonna follow through. So if that answers your question.
Well, I guess what I wanted to find out is the first time this owner is going to find out about this when he hears my report on the radio.
He's gonna get a letter sent to him tomorrow. So
Okay.
yes, he will.
Okay, thanks.
I didn't mention any names in my report. I just mentioned the address.
Okay, but his name is on the memo in there, so just so you know.
Oh, I know.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Roger. Anybody else on the line or here in person that has a public comment? Yes, Larry.
If you give him notice and he doesn't respond if he does respond in 30 days, yeah, I'll take care of it. How long does he have to get it taken care of?
Well, that's what we need to figure out. I would like to see it in 60 days, but if he comes up with a plan to do it that we can agree upon, you know, we've gotta negotiate that. And, I mean, that would be ideal for us to, you know.
And I think we all know who owns that property.
Well, I
It's been
think,
around for a
you
while,
know, it's,
so.
but, you know, I didn't present it that way because I wanted to, I presented the address.
No,
Now
I-
I'll contact the property.
Yeah.
I didn't read that. Yeah, I think,
Great. Thank you. Anybody else here for public comment on the line or in person? Nobody's hands up. Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment then.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion on adjournment? All in favor?
We ought to table that.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.